I'm not gonna lie, he had us fooled in the beginning, but he accepted the Gamrot challenge. Charles Oliveira versus Mateusz Gamrot is now official for October's UFC Brazil card. It went from Fiziev pulling out to an offer to BSD implied by Charles Oliveira to his coach wanting multiple different opponents before they landed on Mateusz Gamrot as the official replacement. What a roller coaster, dude. I thought Charles Oliveira was going to pull out, but he stuck in there and took the matchup, which he believes probably puts him at a disadvantage or something. The unfolding of this situation was getting pretty concerning, considering that Charles Oliveira made it seem as though he was about to duck, and that would be fitting for the theme of this division. It would have essentially deconstructed that entire Brazil card, perfectly built around him, and as well as the fans losing out on another fight. But he ultimately accepted it, and the announcement came like an hour or so after his manager posted a story on Instagram indicating a preference against Paddy Pimblett, Arman Tsarukyan, and Diego Lopez. I don't know any other logical matchup that the Mexican flag would have represented other than Diego. Again, like an hour or so afterward came the announcement against Gamrot, and he didn't post a Polish flag. Interesting enough. So that must mean that Paddy and Arman were off the table. It was not possible for them to step up to fight Charles. And if I were to guess, Diego was a second short notice option in case Gamrot was turned down. So Charles probably just took the fight regardless, after expressing a disinterest in the matchup itself, which was so interesting because he essentially said that Gamrot's fighting style is the reason of his disinterest. He was preparing against a striker. To switch that to a grappler would definitely not be ideal. You know what, man? At the end of the day, him taking the fight is all that matters. Nobody wants to fight Gamrot. This guy's like the Voldemort of the lightweight division. Dare not say his name. Which is funny because Gamrot isn't some finishing beast. He's a tough technical wrestler who can easily frustrate his opponents, but he's not blasting these guys to an alternate dimension or breaking limbs, yet everyone avoids him. He's only had like one non-competitive loss, and that was the Beneil Dariush. His Hooker loss was a split decision. It was quite close. The Grom loss was quite close as well. Dariush is the only guy who thoroughly beat him. And honestly, now thinking about it, Charles could take a page out of Dariush's book and how he approached that fight. Literally sprawl and brawl. Sprawl and brawl as much as possible and scramble to get to your feet instead of entertaining the ground game. Mateusz Gamrot shot 19 takedowns, got 4 of them, but only had total control for 2 minutes and 7 seconds of the fight. That's exactly what Charles Oliveira needs to do, and he could perform that game plan better than Dariush. I think he hits harder than Dariush. He's a better technical striker. He has more offensive potency. Charles can also fight on the back foot, but I don't know if he gets the same counter shots as Dariush. Dariush dropped Gamrot on the back foot, which is pretty interesting. But all of the scrambles need to be used as a path to stand up, not to entertain the grappling exchanges. I think using those to get ahead for the get-ups is the most optimal tactic. And these are the only 2 lightweights in the entire top 15 to have a scheduled fight, by the way. Nobody else does. From Ilya all the way to Mauricio Hufi, nobody has a scheduled fight but them. And you know what? I guarantee the thought of filling in with some of the other top contenders was brought up at some point. And they probably even reached out to guys like Paddy and Arman. But it was Gamrot who was given the fight. I was hoping one of the other contenders would have taken it. I mean, we know that BSD turned it down after hilariously accepting it beforehand. But as soon as the opportunity opened up, he had to turn it down out of quote-unquote respect for Charles. He had a sudden realization that a full camp was necessary to train for Charles, or he was just posturing with that prior talk about filling in. Like, I don't know another reason as to why he would say he would fill in. That exact opportunity opened up for him specifically, and they offered him the fight, according to Charles, and then he turned it down because he needed a full training camp. Charles put him on blast for that, dude. Said these guys talk, but when it comes to the actual negotiations and the offers, they give all the excuses in the world to turn it down. Well, Gamrot does not need that. A training camp is unnecessary for Gamrot to take a fight. He is definitely going to get one, though. And by definitely, I mean a 2.5 week training camp. A week of that is going to be dedicated to weight cutting. Therefore, he pretty much only has like a week and a half to actually focus his training on the fight itself. And I'm not going to lie, man. It is a disparaging, stylistic matchup for Mateusz Gamrot. It's highly improbable that he outgrapples Oliveira. So far, only the very best have been able to keep up with him, if not surpass him. Islam Makhachev defeated him on the ground, after rocking him in the stand-up first. When they rolled in the first round, it was pretty even. Arman won the grappling by a sliver. Almost got submitted, and those are some of the best lightweight grapplers we've ever seen. Is Gamrot a part of that? Perhaps. I mean, he did defeat Arman Tsarukyan, a long time ago, right? It wasn't the same Armin. And Gamrot's abilities haven't really progressed at the level of Armin's. He still sort of fights the same way. He's not the most entertaining fighter. The only time his fights get entertaining is when he's rolling with another high-level grappler, which is probably going to take place for this one, man. Every scramble, reversal, and sweeping technique from Oliveira is going to be met with counters from Gamrot, without a doubt. I can't wait to see them roll, but I would guess Oliveira outdogs him in the stand-up. Gamrot's not like a menacing puncher. Charles definitely is the more powerful of the two and excelling in striking technique. Gamrot doesn't have the best reaction to getting hit, and Oliveira has one-punch knockout power with exceptional offensive form. His defense is still lacking, and I could see Gamrot landing certain quick shots, but Gamrot was put on the back foot for so many of his fights that I foresee Oliveira shifting to a sprawl and brawl game plan, or perhaps as a mid-fight adjustment, as he notices Gamrot retreating throughout the fight, there he switches mid-fight to a sprawl and brawl approach. I think Oliveira can win by focusing on his offensive striking and just sprawling on takedowns. Gamrot's focus is most likely going to be on the submissions. He could play the top game, so if Oliveira entertains the guard game, it could put him a step behind for the fight. But what about Oliveira's chin? The guy got colded a few months ago. That came after a career of head trauma. I mean, this guy's been knocked down and knocked out more than most fighters have. That could nerf him so much where it presents Gamrot as some sort of power puncher in comparison. So we'll see. Perhaps Oliveira's chin is so weakened that Gamrot can knock him out, or that nerfing has been overstated, and he's not as weakened as we think. I think it's a great stylistic matchup for Oliveira, which is quite to the contrary of his original grievances. It's understandable, but I think it's better for him. I'd rather him not fight a striker after that Ilya fight, making this matchup a lot safer for his chin and fitting for his fighting style. So there you have it, man. Charles Oliveira taking the Mateusz Gamrot challenge is what we wanted to see. Now, I hope they do have another fighter in the wings just in case. Diego Lopez has shared his desire to fight Charles as well. I'm very glad they didn't go with Diego Lopez. It would have been an amazing fight, but I don't want to see Oliveira be done in like that again, because Diego Lopez would have resent him into unconsciousness viciously. Lopez is absolutely no joke, and honestly, that guy is so special to be willing to fight Charles Oliveira in the next weight class after just recently defeating John Silva. At the end of the day, though, as much as I would have loved to see the fight, as a Charles Oliveira fan, I am happy they went with Gamrot. Instead, Diego Lopez would have tenderized Oliveira out there, man. It would have been horrible. Now, I would have loved to see one of the top contenders take the fight. It's understandable that they're waiting for Ilya, but waiting for Ilya means that they're going to be waiting for an eternity. You know, as you saw, Charles' coach implied that he wanted Paddy or Armin or Diego Lopez. I mean, Armin could take the rematch, but again, his last fight was a win against Charles Oliveira. The rematch would be entertaining, although it doesn't make a lot of sense, especially with Armin being above him. He beat him before. And then Justin Gaethje had an opportunity to avenge his loss if he wanted to step up. It would have been great, man, especially from Paddy Pimblett, because he's expressed interest in fighting Charles. He pointed to Charles as a specific opponent that he wants to fight one day. It would have been cool to see any of the top contenders take the fight, but it's understandable if they're all just waiting around for Ilya Taburia. And for Oliveira, I'm actually happier he's fighting Gamrot over Fiziev. I thought Fiziev was going to destroy him. But in this one, I think it's a lot closer. I honestly favor Oliveira, moving back into the winning column. We'll see though. Gamrot's always game, dude. And what do you guys think about this fight? Do you prefer it more than Fiziev, or would you have gone with Diego Lopez instead? And who do you think is going to win this fight? And I'll see you guys in the next video.